just before Labor Day.
Nice.
Or check us out online at libertyhealthshare.org.
Week to go.
That's libertyhealthshare.org.
Very nice. All right, here we go. Welcome back to Loving Liberty. I'm Bryan Hyde. Mo is producing the show today. I have Jeanette Finicum on the line with me, checking in from Portland, Oregon. Jeanette, thank you so much for making time to bring an update to our listeners. How are things going?
They're going very well. Thank you for having me back on.
So I understand that Astarita did take the stand yesterday. Tell me about his testimony.
Yes, he took the stand yesterday, and mostly he covered his credentials, his record as an officer, as an FBI agent, his training. He went over all of those qualifications, his shooting record. He has been on the stand all day today so far. The defense is still questioning him, and we recessed for lunch. He has been going over frame by frame, in some instances, the video, what he recognizes, what he doesn't, and testifying to who might be where in the video. So we've been going over a lot of video today.
Now, I understand he was asked directly, did you fire your weapon in the line of duty yesterday? And he flatly said, I have never fired my weapon in the line of duty. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. He said he had never fired his weapon in the line of duty in his whole career.
And yet the prosecution's case, as they have built it, seems to put him as the only likely individual who could have fired the two shots, which so far no one is willing to cop to.
Correct. That is absolutely right. But as you're watching this, you clearly see that there is a conspiracy for a cover-up because there's more than one. There's actually 3 to 4 agents searching the scene and bending down and picking items up. So it's clearly bigger than just Astarita.
I'm curious, Jeanette, did it come up during the prosecution's case? Did they ever ask the question as to why the officers on scene were asked to turn off their body cams?
No, he was not asked that yet. Like I said, he is not finished with his testimony. He's just basically, we have spent the entire morning, I kid you not, the entire morning going over the film, multiple films from both aircraft, plus the film from the bystander on the northbound side of the roadblock. It's been very informative to sit through all of it. We've picked up a lot of evidence, we believe, for our case.
Well, I can't imagine how difficult it is to watch this played out over and over. I'm sure the emotional burden is heavier for you than most people are going to be able to understand. I am relieved, though, to hear that little by little facts are starting to come forward that may be helpful in your wrongful death suit.
Yes, I am grateful for the opportunity to have been here to be able to glean what we have from this case. And there has been so much that we are going to be able to use. And I imagine that once all the discovery comes in, and that we'll have even more. It's disheartening, though, to see that indeed, there are more people that should be where Astarita is right now than just him. It's definitely something that multiple people are involved in.
Wow. So is it possible that with him spending the day on the stand today, that closing arguments could either be presented this afternoon or possibly tomorrow?
No, I don't think we're going to get the closing arguments today. Like I said, the defense still hasn't rested, so they are in their first line of questioning. The prosecution hasn't even had their chance yet. So I imagine once defense rests, then the prosecution will start, then there'll be redirect, recross. I'm hoping that finishes today. If not, we'll be doing that tomorrow. If it finishes tonight, then I imagine closing arguments will begin tomorrow.
Okay. Well, Jeanette, we will plan on checking in with you tomorrow. I hope we'll be able to connect. I so appreciate you providing this update for our listeners and for our viewers on our Facebook live stream. Thanks again for doing this.
Thank you for having me, Bryan. God bless.
God bless you. All right, that was Jeanette Finicum. It's those wheels of justice are turning very, very slowly. But I don't know. Am I being overly optimistic when I say I see good things happening, but they're happening in those little incremental slices, like we saw with the Bundy's trial in Vegas at the end of last year. And seemingly insignificant developments. Oh, well, that's interesting, that thread that's sticking out there, and yet they start pulling on it, and the prosecution's case slowly starts to unravel. I don't know what's going to happen in this case. I can't tell the future. I'm not a prognosticator, but I am grateful for the fact that in court there are opportunities for these truths to slowly be brought into the light. I wish it was quicker. I'm impatient. I mean, I want the microwave oven version of, let's get this thing over with, 2 minutes or less. And it just doesn't work out that way. But having watched some of the previous trials, particularly those involving the folks at the Malheur Wildlife Refuge, watching the Bundy's trial last fall, I have great confidence that as the truth comes out, there is vindication that comes along with it. And I think back to something that Ammon Bundy said a long time ago. This is from an interview that he gave when he was in jail in Portland, right after being arrested following the events at Malheur. And he just stated with such humility and yet with conviction that one day our freedom will be restored. And he said, and when it is, there will be no doubt that it's the Lord's hand that made it happen. And I have, my faith has been greatly increased through watching this process. And it does take time. And it is an exercise of faith in the truest sense of the word. But I also have confidence that the truth is our friend. And you can't beat the truth. It may take a while for it to come out. People may duck and they may try to avoid it. But when it happens, it's a good thing. And I think we've seen that play out. And we've seen people who seemingly held all the cards confounded. I know. People have a hard time accepting that. Well, at least the people who are really, on the side of the prosecution. How could this possibly, have happened? And they'll find any excuse. But the fact of the matter is, I see some wonderful people who have been freed from bondage as a result of the truth. There are others who are, I think, unjustly imprisoned, who yet will be freed, and it will be because of the truth. And I think it will be with God's help that they will regain their freedom. If there's a lesson to draw from this, it should be that there is always a cost associated with freedom. It's the easiest thing in the world to take for granted. I've been guilty of this for a good portion of my life. I was happy, to give lip service. Oh, the flag, I'll put my hand over my heart and say, America's great and I love freedom. And I think a lot of people feel that way. We all can agree, yeah, it's a great thing. But it will not perpetuate itself. Someone has to be willing to stand up, especially when it's unpopular to do so, and to do that heavy lifting. And it's very rare that you're going to find the majority of people looking at them going, yeah, that's right. I can see that they are doing the right thing, and I'm proud that they're holding forth like they are. More often than not, they're misunderstood, they're hated, they're smeared, their motives are questioned. Why would they do it? Why can't they just get with the program like everybody else? And it's been this way as long as there has been anything resembling authentic freedom available. So, something to think about here. I think each one of us has a role to play. In fact, I don't just think it, I know it. I think that we were born for this time, that we have something we can contribute. And it's not all the same thing. Some people, I look at what Ammon Bundy and Ryan Bundy and LaVoy Finicum and others have done. And many of those who came to support them, I'm not sure I had the courage to stand like they stood. I'm very proud and I'm very inspired of them. I look at them and I'm proud of what they did and I'm inspired by what they did. But I can only pray that in a similar circumstance, I would have the courage to likewise stand. But I think we all can make a contribution, and we all should be thinking in terms of, what can I do? The good news is, some of these things have been very public. I think Ammon Bundy has done a tremendous amount of good. And I think he is actually a very powerful advocate for freedom in a way that most of us can't be. But you look at the price that he paid to get that